Hi everybody, Unc here. Today we are talking about this belly right here. This is the Dodo Industries GIVO, which I won a couple weeks ago in a giveaway. And while I was waiting for this to make its way to me, I did some research on not only the GIVO, but on Dodo Industries as a company, and learned some really neat things that I wanted to share. So Dodo Industries is a one-man shop run by a person who goes by Dodo. They were, as I understand it, they were given their first Bally by their grandfather Ivo, who was also a big supporter of them when they decided that they wanted to start making Balisongs. So as such, they actually named the Balisong company, Dodo Industries, after the dodo bird because their grandfather Ivo really loved birds. I thought that was really cool. Dodo Industries has produced three different Balisong models. The Ivo, which is a premium titanium Balisong named after Dodo's grandfather Ivo. The GIVO, which is, again, this belly right here, it's an aluminum version of the Ivo, where the G in the name actually stands for G10, because after making the Ivo, they wanted to make a G10 version of the Ivo, hence the GIVO. Despite that, this is also available with carbon fiber scales. So you have G10, which you would see in either red scales or green scales, and then you have the carbon fiber scales, which are the ones that are black. And then the last Bally, or third Bally design that they produced was the Rafus, which is also an aluminum Bally. It comes in both a live version or a live blade as well as a trainer. And the really neat thing that I learned about that is the name Rafus is actually the scientific genus name for the dodo bird. So that was really cool. It all kind of comes full circle back around to Grandpa Ivo's love for birds. Details with regards to the GIVO, though. So this comes, like I said, in two versions, the G10 version and the carbon fiber version. The only difference literally is the scales that are on it. The G10 version comes in at 318 USD, and the carbon fiber version comes at 358 USD. The blade steel is 35 VN. The handles are channel construction, 70-75 aluminum, and again, coming in either a G10 variant or carbon fiber variant. The Bally itself is 10.5 inches long, and its advertised weight is 3.77 ounces. The GIVO was specifically intended to be a limited run, so it consists of 44 serialized units. Of those 44 units, 4 of them were made with a dual tone blade to see how that process worked. And my unit, this Bally right here, is number 41 of 44 and is one of the 4 dual tone blades. So I did a little measuring, a little research with regards to, well, first let's get into what I got. So when I unboxed it, I had this really cool Dodo Industries Balisong stand in the box, and then I had this case. Contained within it was the Balisong, as well as some carbon fiber scales. So I've been able to play around with both. It originally came with the carbon fiber scales on it. I then switched over to the G10 scales. And some extra hardware. And these look like the screws that go in the bottom of the handles that hold in the weights. So that's everything that was in the box for me. My unit, when I kind of broke it down and took it apart and played around with it a little bit, if you take the scales off of it, it weighs 3.3 ounces. If you then take the weights out of the bottom of the handles, then it brings the weight down to 3.1 ounces without any scales, without any end weights. With the carbon fiber scales, it weighs 3.8 ounces. So the carbon fiber scales themselves were half an ounce. And if you put the G10 scales on it like I have here, it's 3.9 ounces altogether. And the G10 scales themselves weighed 0.7 ounces. So basically what that equates to in comparison to my collection is with the carbon fiber scales on it, it weighs about the same as my Orion S with comb blade. And with the G10 scales on it, it weighs the same as my Nibalis Teflon Vulp, my Nibalis Cat, my LDY Orion V1.5, and my Bandage Knives Stitch V1. Despite that though, despite the fact that, depending on what scales I have, it weighs similar to the 1/10 of the ounce as some of my other Bally's, it does not flip like my other Bally's. So for example, with the with the carbon fiber scales on it, weighs the same as my Orion S, does not flip the same as my Orion S. So it just goes to show that even if you're talking the exact same weight, you're not necessarily talking the exact same balance profile between Bally's. Some things that I have noticed while I have been flipping this is that this thing has ridiculous grip. At first, I thought that the grip was due to the carbon fiber scales because admittedly, I'd never flipped a Balisong with carbon fiber scales before. So I thought the crazy grip was due to the carbon fiber. But since I switched over to the G10 scales, it is still just as grippy. So I actually think that the grippiness is due to the wavy lines that are grooved into the scales themselves. Which is really helpful for grip, just absolutely insane. Also, as far as grip is concerned, the jimping. So it has pretty tall jimping in comparison to some other Bally's that some don't have any jimping, some have shorter jimping. Jimping runs up past the scales and is incorporated in the edge of the scales, but the jimping is both on the outside of the Bally as well as on the inside of the Bally. And while from the look of it, the jimping looks pretty subtle. In actual grippiness, it is a very aggressive grip. Not to the point that it hurts or tears your skin or anything like that. It doesn't cause any discomfort, but it is ridiculously grippy. So, for example, when I try to practice ladders. One thing that I can tell you is I am never going to have to worry about this thing flying out of my hand while I'm practicing and trying to learn how to ladder, because this thing is just ridiculously grippy. It is never going to ever slip away. The one thing that I did take note of, though, while I have been flipping it, is that this Zen nipple does end up pinching sometimes, primarily when I'm doing tricks that incorporate a helix, or basically where the backside of the Bally is rotating around your fingers. It can pinch a little bit. It hasn't hurt me. It definitely hasn't drawn blood or anything like that. But it is something that has caught me from time to time when I'm doing things like the helix or like the cherry picker. But all in all, my initial take on this Bally, as far as balance, is right now I feel like it's bordering somewhere between neutral and a very light handle bias. In no way, shape, or form is this a heavy handle bias, and this is definitely not a blade bias Bally, despite the fact that in comparing to some others, like the Kraken, for example, the handles are the same, just about the same length, almost exactly. but the blade is longer by about a quarter to a half an inch, maybe a third of an inch. Despite that, in no way, shape, or form would this classify as a blade bias Bally, but it does lend itself more towards probably the neutral side of things. I have not had any trouble with the Bally trying to leave my hand during any type of rollover tricks, but it does, while I'm flipping it and I'm doing rollovers, it does give kind of a floating feel, where it feels like the Bally is just floating around my hand, as opposed to, you know, hugging really tight or trying to fly off. So that leads me towards thinking that it's probably got more of a neutral balance profile. Chaplains on this thing are sticky enough. If I try to chaplain faster than I usually do for extended periods of time, I do feel that it will start to slip. But this doesn't impact my flipping because I don't flip fast. But it's good to make note of, depending on how you flip. If you're a fast flipper or you really crank those chaplains, your mileage with this thing may vary. The other thing is, this thing seriously wants to fan. A regular fan, like a fan opening, opens very fast and very flat, and rotates more easily and for longer than any of the other Ballys that I have. Palm fan, there is no wobble, and again, it wants to fan. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going until I decide to stop it, or eventually the momentum will run out. But again, this thing fans a lot longer than the other Ballys that I have. And then because of the grip, the choker fan on this is really easy to kick off. Not only because the jimping on the sides, but the grip of the ribbing on the G10 or carbon fiber scales. It just really allows for you to get the grip that you need to kick off the choker fan. And when you do, it's a really satisfying. My goodness, when you do, it's a really satisfying. That was a horrible choker fan. Really satisfying, really flat. Oh well, choker fan. I would, prior to starting this video, I would have said this is now probably my most consistent choker fan Bally, but now I have to spend a little bit more time with that to prove that to be the case, because I think I just failed 4 times in a row. But yeah, it just in general, those are my 3 main things that I look at when I'm reviewing a Bally for, you know, how does it meet my balance preferences, you know, how does it flip for me, is, you know, what does it do on rollovers, what does it do on chokers, and what does it do on fans. And all in all, I mean, so far, the only, I don't even want to say gripe, the only thing that has caused me any discomfort with this Bally is specifically, you know, the fact that periodically that Zen nipple will cause a pinch between the Zen nipple and the handle when doing anything on, you know, the back side of the handles where that Zen nipple comes into play. But aside from that, this is just a really fun, really floaty, really interestingly balanced Bally to flip. It has grip for days, loves to fan. Just all in all, I am really enjoying this. But again, I've had this unboxed now for just about 24 hours, not much longer than that. So what I'll do is I will continue to be flipping this as my primary main flipper for at least the next couple of weeks. And in a few weeks, what I'll do is I'll do another kind of follow-up review video, like a full review video. You know, just kind of updating everybody on, you know, what was it like, what has it been like flipping this thing for a couple of weeks. Have my opinions of it changed? But all in all, my opinions of it right now are very positive. I enjoy the Bali. I love flipping it. The design is really, really, really cool. I like the shape of the blade. Oh, one thing, as far as its construction, it uses the T10 bit for the handle weights and the pivot screws, a T7 for the bottom part, or the middle screw that holds in the scales on the bottom. Also, this is the first Bali I have ever had where the pivot screws aren't a two-piece unit where you have the barrel pin or the barrel half of the screw and the screw itself. You actually have three pieces in here. So both of these sides house a shorter screw that screw into a barrel in the middle. So when taking this apart, you actually remove both screws, then push out the barrel, and then you can take the handle off the blade. And then it does run on bushings. So it's got bushings, it's got washers, bronze phosphorus washers, and then the barrel that goes in there, and then the screws on top of that, which also mean that unlike some Balis where you have to take these pivot screws out to change the scales out, when you take the screw out of the pivot, because the barrel stays in there, you're still locked into the blade, between the blade and the handle, so you don't have to disassemble the Bali to swap out the scales. So it's actually a pretty quick process to get these scales off and put other scales on it. So that is everything that I can think of with regards to my first impressions, my first 24 hours with the Dodo Industries GIVO. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for saying hi. We'll see you guys in the next one. Love you.